I'm Leah, 26, and I woke up this morning thinking today might finally be different. It's my birthday, the big 2-6. And like every year since I turned 18, I spent the first 3 hours of my day staring at my phone, waiting for it to ring. Where are you watching from today? Drop your location in the comments below and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever felt completely invisible to your own family. You'll definitely want to stick around for what happened next. But let me back up to how this beautiful disaster started. Picture this. Me, sitting at my kitchen counter at 6 a.m., phone positioned at the perfect angle so I could see the screen while pretending to drink my coffee. Because nothing says pathetic quite like actively watching for birthday calls that probably aren't coming. The silence was deafening. Not a single notification. No missed calls. No texts. Nothing. I checked my phone again. Still working. Wi-Fi connection strong. Battery at 98%. Everything functioning perfectly, except for the part where my family remembers I exist. By 8 a.m., I'd moved to the couch, laptop open, pretending to work while obsessively refreshing my messages. My reflection in the black screen showed exactly what you'd expect. A grown woman in her pajamas, holding her phone like it might spontaneously generate the love she'd been craving her entire life. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I am, a successful marketing consultant with my own apartment in Brooklyn, waiting like a teenager for my parents to acknowledge my birthday. Some things never change, I guess. At 9:30, my phone finally buzzed. My heart literally jumped. This was it. They remembered. It was a notification from my credit card company. Thanks for being a valued customer. Even my bank cared more about me than my family. I laughed out loud at the absurdity. Not a happy laugh. More like the sound you make when you realize you've been playing a game where you're the only participant. But here's the thing about expecting nothing. It prepares you for anything. And what happened next was definitely not nothing. I opened the family group chat. You know, the one where I send holiday wishes and get read receipts but no responses. Today's conversation was buzzing with excitement. 37 new messages since yesterday. My heart sped up. Maybe they were planning something. Maybe this was all an elaborate setup for a surprise. I scrolled through the messages eagerly, my smile growing wider with each notification. This was it. Finally, after all these years, they were going to make my birthday special. Then I read the first message. Can't wait for Danny's party this weekend. 24 is such a milestone. My smile disappeared. Danny. My cousin Danny, whose birthday is 5 days after mine. The family favorite who could do no wrong, unlike his perpetually disappointing older cousin. Message after message about Danny's celebration. The venue they'd booked, the cake they'd ordered, the photo montage they were creating, the gift they'd all pooled money to buy him. 23 messages about Danny's birthday plans. 0 about mine. I sat there staring at my phone, watching my family pour love and attention into someone else's celebration, while mine passed by unnoticed. Again. That's when something inside me snapped. Not in an angry way. More like a light switch flipping. A moment of clarity that cut through years of disappointment and false hope. I wasn't going to spend another year begging for scraps of attention from people who clearly had enough love to go around. Just not for me. I closed the group chat and opened my banking app instead. The number staring back at me made me smile for the first time all morning. 26 years of saving, working double shifts, and living below my means had paid off in ways my family couldn't even imagine. Time to give myself the birthday present I actually deserved. The number on my screen was beautiful. $247,000. 3 years of emergency fund saving, 2 years of aggressive investing, and 1 very good year in consulting had built something my family knew nothing about. Because here's what they didn't know about their struggling daughter. I'd been quietly building my empire while they overlooked me. By 10 a.m., I was dressed and walking toward the subway. Not to work. I'd cleared my schedule for personal appointments. I had a feeling today was going to be memorable. The family chat kept buzzing with Danny updates. Photos of party decorations being delivered, screenshots of the custom playlist they'd created for him, updates about relatives flying in from other states to celebrate. For my 21st birthday, I got a card from CVS that my mom clearly grabbed at the last minute. The price sticker was still on it. The contrast was so ridiculous it stopped hurting. Instead, it felt like fuel. I opened my real estate app and pulled up the listing I'd been favoriting for 3 months. A 2-bedroom apartment in the Hamptons with ocean views and a price tag that would make my parents hyperventilate. I'd been telling myself it was too extravagant, too impulsive, too much for someone like me. But someone like me had been saving responsibly for 8 years while supporting my family whenever they needed just a small loan. Someone like me had built a consulting business that generated 6 figures annually, while they assumed I was barely scraping by. Someone like me was done playing small. I called the listing agent from the subway platform. "Hi, this is Leah about the Hamptons property on Ocean Drive. Is it still available?" "It is. Are you interested in viewing it today?" My family chat pinged again. A photo of the restaurant they'd chosen for Danny's birthday dinner. The same restaurant where I'd begged them to celebrate my college graduation. "Too expensive," they'd said. "Let's just do something simple for you." "Actually," I told the agent, "I'm interested in making an offer. Today. Can we meet in an hour?" The excitement in her voice was immediate. "Absolutely. I'll prepare the paperwork." I hung up and checked the family chat one more time. 49 messages now, all about Danny's celebration. Not one person had even noticed that today was my birthday. In a group chat with 12 family members on the day I was born, I was completely invisible. Perfect. The train pulled into the station, and I stepped on with a strange sense of calm. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't hoping they'd remember. I wasn't making excuses for their behavior. I wasn't trying to earn love that should have been freely given. I was taking control. The hour-long train ride to the Hamptons gave me time to think. To really think about what I was about to do. This wasn't just buying an apartment. This was buying my independence from a family that had taken me for granted for 26 years. My phone buzzed. For a split second, hope flickered. Maybe someone had finally remembered. It was a text from my bank. Large withdrawal alert. Confirm transaction. I confirmed it and smiled. This was really happening. As the train pulled into my stop, I felt something I'd never experienced before. Excitement about my own birthday. Not the desperate hope for external validation I usually felt, but genuine anticipation for something I was creating for myself. The real estate office was a short walk from the station. Clean, modern, with photos of stunning properties lining the walls. The kind of place my parents would feel intimidated entering. But I walked in like I belonged there, because for the first time in my life I realized I did. Let me tell you something about being the forgotten child. You become really good at making yourself useful. It's like a survival skill. Have you ever experienced being so consistently overlooked that you started to believe you deserved it? Drop a comment below because this next part might sound familiar. My earliest memory of this pattern was my 8th birthday. My parents threw Danny a surprise party for his 6th birthday 2 months later. Pony rides, bouncy castle, the works. My celebration had been dinner at Applebee's with my grandparents because my parents forgot to plan anything. "Next year will be special," Mom promised. "We just got overwhelmed with work." Next year, I got a bicycle from Target. Danny got a custom-painted bike with his name airbrushed on it. His birthday fell on a better paycheck, Dad explained. The excuses were always reasonable, always logical, always left me feeling guilty for wanting more. By high school, I'd learned to manage my expectations. I planned my own birthday celebrations, invited my own friends, bought my own cake. My parents would show up for the photo ops and leave when it was time to clean up. But here's where it gets really fun. They always needed something right before my birthday. Every single year. Last year, it was Mom's car breaking down 3 days before I turned 25. She needed $2,000, just until insurance sorted everything out. I gave it to her because that's what good daughters do. The insurance check arrived the day after my birthday. Did I get my money back? Cute question. Did my parents acknowledge that my birthday had passed unnoticed while I was helping them? Even cuter. 2 years ago, Dad's business had a cash flow problem the week of my birthday. $4,000 to save the family company. My celebration became a pizza in my apartment while my parents worked late, stressed about money I'd given them to solve problems they'd created. The pattern was so predictable I could have set a calendar by it. Crisis before birthday. Money requested. Birthday forgotten. Gratitude nowhere to be found. But Danny's birthdays were sacred. Every family member contributed to his gift fund. Every relative cleared their schedule. Every detail was planned with military precision because family is everything, and we have to celebrate the important moments. Apparently, my important moments weren't that important. The thing about being consistently undervalued is that it teaches you 2 things. First, you're incredibly resilient. Second, you're probably worth more than anyone is giving you credit for. I'd been proving the second point quietly for 3 years. While my family assumed I was struggling to make rent, I was actually investing in mutual funds. While they thought my consulting work was just freelancing, I was building a client base that included Fortune 500 companies. When they asked about my finances, I learned to downplay everything. "Things are tight, but I'm managing," became my standard response. It kept them from asking for larger amounts and let me maintain my privacy, but it also meant they had no idea who I'd become. The woman sitting in this real estate office, reviewing purchase documents for a $240,000 Hamptons apartment, was not the struggling daughter they pictured when they thought of me at all. That realization was both liberating and heartbreaking. I'd outgrown their perception of me so completely that we were essentially living in different realities. They saw failure, I'd built success. They saw neediness, I'd developed independence. They saw someone who should be grateful for scraps. I'd become someone who could afford to walk away entirely. The real estate agent returned with documents spread across her desk like a feast. "Everything looks perfect for a cash purchase," she said. "We can close by the end of the week if you're ready to proceed." I looked at the contract, at the photos of my future home, at the life I was about to claim for myself. 26 years of birthday disappointments had led to this moment, and for the first time in my life, I was grateful for every single one of them, because they'd taught me the most valuable lesson of all. The only person you can count on to make your dreams come true is yourself. The apartment was even more beautiful in person. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean, hardwood floors that gleamed in the afternoon sunlight, and a kitchen island that cost more than most people's cars. But what sold me wasn't the luxury. It was the silence. No family drama, no crisis calls, no expectation that I'd drop everything to solve someone else's problems. Just peaceful, expensive silence. The previous owners were art collectors, the agent explained, pointing to the built-in display cases. And this balcony has unobstructed water views, perfect for entertaining. I almost laughed. Entertaining who? The family that forgot I existed? The friends I'd lost touch with because I was always managing family emergencies? For the first time in my adult life, I was making a decision based purely on what I wanted. Not what was practical, not what was expected, not what would make other people happy. Just me, choosing something beautiful for myself. "I'll take it," I said. The agent's eyes widened. "Don't you want to think about it? Discuss it with family?" No discussion needed. I pulled out my phone and showed her my banking app. "I can transfer the down payment today, cash purchase." The next 2 hours were a blur of signatures, wire transfers, and paperwork. My phone buzzed occasionally with more Danny birthday planning updates. But I'd stopped checking. I was too busy buying myself the best birthday present of my life. By 4 p.m., I was holding keys to my new apartment. My apartment. Not rented, not borrowed, not dependent on anyone else's approval or financial support. Mine. I stood on the balcony, looking out at the Atlantic Ocean, and felt something I'd never experienced before. Complete ownership of my own happiness. That's when I decided to share the news. I pulled out my phone and positioned it carefully, the ocean sparkling in the background, my new keys clearly visible in my hand. My smile was genuine, not the practiced, hopeful expression I usually wore in family photos, but real joy. I typed the caption slowly, savoring each word. "Best birthday ever." Finally got myself exactly what I wanted. Then I added, "New Hamptons apartment, new chapter, new life. Here's to 26 and everything that comes next." My finger hovered over the share button for exactly 3 seconds. 3 seconds to consider whether I was ready for the chaos this would create. 3 seconds to think about taking the high road, being considerate of their feelings, managing their reactions. 3 seconds to remember every birthday they'd forgotten, every crisis that had become my responsibility, every time my achievements had been dismissed or overshadowed. I hit share. The post went live at 4:17 p.m. on my 26th birthday, a birthday that had started with me waiting desperately for their attention and was ending with me announcing I no longer needed it. I put my phone on silent and walked back inside my new apartment. Whatever happened next, I'd handle it from here, from my place, on my terms, in my own time. For the first time in 26 years, my birthday was ending exactly how I wanted it to. I spent the next hour doing something revolutionary, enjoying my birthday in complete peace. I unpacked the bottle of champagne I'd bought on impulse from the train station, found actual champagne flutes in the apartment's fully stocked kitchen, and toasted myself on my balcony as the sun started to set over the ocean. "Happy birthday, Leah," I said aloud, clinking my glass against the railing. "You finally did something just for you." The champagne was perfect, the view was perfect. The silence was absolutely perfect. I kept my phone face down on the counter. Notifications turned off. Whatever explosion was happening in my family group chat could wait. This moment, my first moment of pure celebration in my new space, belonged entirely to me. I explored every room slowly, like I was touring a museum. The master bedroom with its walk-in closet bigger than my entire Brooklyn apartment. The guest room that would probably never host my family, since they'd likely never be invited. the office space where I could build my consulting business without interruption. Each room represented possibility, freedom, a life lived on my own terms. By 6 p.m., I was ready to face whatever chaos I'd created. I turned my phone back on and watched the notifications flood in. 73 messages in the family group chat, 47 individual text messages, 21 missed calls from various family members. 21. In less than 2 hours, my family had called me more than they had in the previous 6 months combined. I opened the group chat first, scrolling through what I can only describe as a digital meltdown. Mom. Leah, what is this post? Call me immediately. Dad. Very funny joke. Now tell us what's really going on. Danny. Wait, it's your birthday today? Nobody told me. Aunt Susan. How could you afford this? Did you win the lottery? My cousin Maria. Are you having some kind of breakdown? This seems very impulsive. Uncle Bob. Hope you kept the receipts. This looks like a scam. The individual messages were even better. My mother had sent 17 separate texts, ranging from concerned to accusatory to downright panicked. Leah, please call me. I'm worried about you. Where did you get this money? I hope you haven't done anything illegal. Your father thinks you're having a mental health crisis. We need to talk about this immediately. This isn't normal behavior. Are you trying to hurt us? Because this feels very spiteful. Spiteful. That was my favorite. Buying myself a birthday present with my own money was spiteful. But forgetting my birthday entirely was just an oversight. The missed calls were from everyone. Parents, aunts, uncles, cousins, even my grandmother who usually only called on Christmas. People who hadn't checked on me in months were suddenly desperate to reach me. It was almost funny how predictable it all was. Ignore me completely when I'm hoping for attention, then overwhelm me with attention when I stop asking for it. But here's what they didn't understand. Their panic meant nothing to me now. I wasn't the same person who would have dropped everything to reassure them, explain myself, or manage their emotions. I was sitting in my Hamptons apartment, sipping champagne and watching the sunset, completely unbothered by their crisis. I scrolled through a few more messages, noting how many people suddenly remembered my birthday existed, now that I'd made a public announcement about celebrating it myself. Happy birthday, honey! Can't wait to hear all about this apartment. From my aunt who'd driven past my Brooklyn apartment hundreds of times without stopping by. So proud of you for treating yourself. We should definitely visit soon. From my cousin who'd never once invited me to anything. The transparent opportunism was almost insulting. These people wanted access to my new lifestyle, not a relationship with me. I finished my champagne and started typing my response. Not to the individual messages. Those could wait indefinitely. To the group chat, where everyone could see exactly where I stood. My message was going to be clear, polite, and absolutely final. But first, I poured another glass of champagne. Big moments deserve proper celebration. I crafted my response carefully, editing it 3 times before I was satisfied. It needed to be polite enough that they couldn't claim I was being cruel, but firm enough that they understood this wasn't negotiable. Hi, everyone. Thank you for all the birthday wishes. To answer the question everyone seems to be asking, yes, this is real. Yes, I can afford it. Yes, I'm perfectly fine. I've been saving and building my consulting business for years. This is what financial responsibility and hard work look like. I hope you can be happy for me. I paused before adding the final sentence. I'll be celebrating quietly tonight with the people who've always been there for me. Love you all. The beauty of that last line was its truth. I was celebrating with the people who'd always been there for me. That person was me. I hit send and immediately put my phone back on silent. Then I did something I'd never done before. I ordered myself a birthday dinner. Not fast food or leftovers, but an actual celebration meal from a high-end restaurant that delivered to the Hamptons. Lobster ravioli, truffle risotto, and a chocolate tart that cost more than my family usually spent on my entire birthday. While I waited for delivery, I finally checked my banking account to see the damage. The apartment purchase had been significant, but my savings had absorbed it easily. 3 years of living below my means while building my business had created a financial foundation my family couldn't even imagine. They thought I was reckless. I thought I was finally being smart with my money, investing in my happiness instead of their emergencies. The food arrived exactly on time, presented beautifully in real ceramic dishes. I set up a proper place setting on my new dining table, lit the candle I'd found in the kitchen drawer, and created the birthday dinner I'd always wanted. Just me, my ocean view, and absolutely zero family drama. It was perfect. As I ate, I reflected on how different this felt from every other birthday I could remember. No anxiety about whether anyone would call. No disappointment when they didn't. No desperate gratitude when they finally remembered at the last minute. Just quiet satisfaction with my own company and my own choices. Around 8 p.m., I turned my phone back on to check the time and saw that the family chat had exploded into chaos. Apparently, my polite response had not provided the reassurance they'd wanted. The messages ranged from confused to angry to borderline accusatory. People were questioning my mental state, my financial decisions, and my motives. Some were demanding explanations. Others were expressing hurt that I hadn't told them about my success. But the most telling responses were from the people who were suddenly interested in visiting, contributing to my happiness, being part of my new life. Where had all this enthusiasm been for the past 26 years? I scrolled through it all with the detached interest you might show a reality TV show about strangers. These people's opinions about my choices mattered exactly as much as I decided they mattered. And I decided they mattered not at all. I closed the group chat and opened my individual messages. The missed calls had increased to 38. My mother had sent 29 separate text messages, progressing from worry to anger to something approaching hysteria. Her latest message made me laugh out loud. "If you don't call me back in the next hour, I'm driving to Brooklyn to check on you." Good luck with that, I thought. I'm not in Brooklyn. I finished my birthday dinner, cleared my dishes, and poured one final glass of champagne. Tomorrow, I'd deal with the fallout. I'd have conversations, set boundaries, and make it clear that this new version of me was here to stay. But tonight was still my birthday, and I was going to end it exactly as I'd started my new life, on my own terms. I walked out onto my balcony, champagne in hand, and watched the stars reflect off the ocean. 26 years old, financially independent, emotionally free, and finally celebrating myself the way I deserved. It had been the best birthday of my life, and I'd given it to myself. From now on, every birthday would be exactly this good, because I'd finally learned the most important lesson of all. The only person responsible for my happiness was me, and I was excellent at that job. I woke up at 9 a.m. feeling more rested than I had in years. No alarm clock, no crisis calls, no immediate need to check my phone for family emergencies that somehow always became my responsibility. Just sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the sound of waves outside my bedroom. This was what peace felt like. When I finally checked my phone around 10 a.m., I discovered that the family meltdown had reached epic proportions overnight. The group chat had 127 new messages. My individual text count had hit triple digits. And the missed calls? 23 missed calls from various family members between 6 p.m. yesterday and 8 a.m. this morning. 23 attempts to reach me in 14 hours. For context, I'd received a total of 4 calls from family members in the previous 2 months. But apparently, when you stop begging for their attention and start living your life, you suddenly become very important. I scrolled through the overnight messages,